So I want to give you a quick peek inside some of the KPIs that we're able to track for some of our wineries. This is just some fictitious data from a small and upcoming example winery to kind of show you what we can do. This is built on top of Fathom, which is an excellent business intelligence software that sits on top of QuickBooks Online or whatever accounting general ledger software that you're using, and pulls the data in, and then you can play with it in all sorts of ways. But what we have here is a KPI report, and there's a million different KPIs you can come up with in here, and we've just broken this down into 4 different categories. And I just kind of want to run through this. What we're looking at is 2023 data. We've put a target into the system, and then we've got a little indicator of whether we've hit that target, and then we've got the trend since last year. And so just some of the insights you can get on this sample data set. We've got a gross profit margin target here of 70%. We're hitting that on wine, but we haven't hit that overall, but we're close. Operating profit margin, it was negative for this winery. It's still kind of getting up and going. We're hoping to hit 10%. We are actually up 10% from last year, so this winery is doing better than it did last year. We're also going to track some trends. We've got revenue growth, expense change, labor change, and then this OPEX change. We track for our wineries operating expenses that we kind of consider under the control of the winery. So it doesn't include labor or owner compensation or payroll taxes and benefits, but it's kind of everything else. And so you can see that the targets are to grow the labor and the operating expenses slower than revenue. That's the goal, to make more money. We want to grow revenue faster than we grow those. And you can see that we're doing even better with our expenses. They're not growing as fast, and our revenue is growing at our targeted rate. And so that's great. We've also measured those KPIs against revenue, so you can see what are we spending on labor as a percentage of revenue, what are we spending on operating expenses as a percent of revenue, what are we spending on marketing as a percentage of revenue. It looks like we've got a little, maybe budgeted for 3% of our budget, but we haven't spent that much, so maybe there's something we can do there, spend some more money on marketing to maybe up our sales even more. And then down here we've got some sales and KPIs specifically for wineries. Here you've got your wine revenue per case, and we're counting this against all depletions, and that includes wine that goes out the door for samples poured or wines by the glass. Looks like they've got an error in their target here. I don't think we're going to hit that. 274 is a little bit down from last year's where they're at. They're tracking their average order value here in the tasting room. Their wine club growth is looking very positive. The wine club attrition is how many cancellations they're having compared to their overall club. This is pretty typical. They're hoping to get it down to 20%. How are they doing with their wine club conversions? That's the number of new club members they have for every taster that they get. So this is a report that is great to look at on an annual basis, but you can also get these metrics on a monthly basis and track how you're doing month over month or year to date compared to last year to date. When you really get into metrics, we really hope that wineries start tracking them on a weekly basis. Maybe you're not going to look at each of these on a weekly basis, but you're going to pick out 2 or 3 that are really going to drive your winery forward and help you enact the change that you need to make in your winery. And we really want the wineries to own those. Come up with just a Google sheet or an Excel sheet or piece of paper where they're tracking them weekly and sharing those with their key employees, their key tasting room members, their sales staff, their production staff. We don't have any production metrics on here, but that's another whole class of metrics we can track. But tracking metrics weekly and really tracking those and getting a handle on your business, it's a little bit of homework, but once you get it set up, delegate it to someone else, and you can really drive your business forward using good data and good insights into that data.